Back in March, when it was still cold outside, we heard a cry for help. This little gray guy was one of the cats roaming our neighborhood who would show up occasionally for food but would never let us touch him. At first we were sure he was feral, and we wanted to trap him and get him neutered before releasing him back into the environment. But when we saw how injured he was, we just couldn't let him go on like that. I was sure that his tail, or what was left of it, was infected and had to be causing him a lot of pain. You can see his stub here, and this is what it looked like on a good day. We call him Tanuki, because he reminds us of a little raccoon scrounging through the trash. We tried live traps, but some cats are too smart or too quick for those. The only things we caught were our own spoiled cats and actual raccoons. We had Tanuki on a regular feeding schedule, and after months of failure, we knew we had to do something drastic. After moving his food closer and closer to our door, we ambushed the little guy by grabbing him and pulling him inside our house. Don't do that at home. Tanuki was terrified, but he was also much more cooperative than he needed to be. At this point, he was also limping from a recent fight, and his tail was bleeding everywhere. We bundled him into a carrier and took him to a local veterinary clinic for an emergency surgery. The doctor was able to give him a brief exam and tell us our options. Tanuki had about 5 inches of tail, and most of it would have to go since it was far too damaged. It was a bit of a medical mystery. He had developed extra skin on the sides of the tail, possibly in an effort to heal. The doctor could use this extra skin to craft him a stump out of the remaining healthy bone and tissue. If his blood work was good and he didn't have any major diseases, we could proceed with the surgery. Besides showing evidence of fighting an infection, he was in remarkably good shape given all that had happened to him. While Tanuki was sedated for the tail amputation, he also received vaccines, a microchip, and most importantly for our stray population, we had him neutered. We were so concerned about keeping Tanuki inside, but we had no other way to guarantee that he'd finish his 10-day course of antibiotics without being confined. Every day I'd mix him a cocktail of pain medication and antibiotics, and he'd eat it up like a champ before I gave him the rest of his breakfast. He was frightened and standoffish for about a day, and I made sure to telegraph my movements and be very slow around him. The plastic cone was a necessary evil, since without it he would no doubt tear out the stitches keeping his tail together. After just a few days, he began to blossom into a sweet, friendly cat who just wanted us to scratch his chin. I couldn't believe how fast he came around. After just 3 days, he was leaning on us and asking for ear rubs. Tanuki started working on purring. At first he was really out of practice. The cone actually helped us to bond with him, because he never seemed to blame us for it. I think he just thought that the cone was something that had happened to him, like his original injury, and now he needed to adjust to it as his new normal. After 10 days of staying in the same small room and being saddled with that cone, it was finally time to get his stitches out. He wasn't happy to be back in the vet's office, and we still had a few days to go with the collar. Removing the cone was so fun for us. It was amazing to see him able to jump and run and be free. His tail continued to look better and better, and Tanuki was finally able to start playing and using a scratching post. He also got to put his whole face in the food bowl again. We love this cat, and we want to keep him, but we aren't able to give him all the attention he needs with our full house. Like all cats, he needs to roam the whole house and be involved in everything that his humans are doing. Tanuki will probably always have a bit of a disability because he can't use his tail to balance like most other cats. He might also be a little feisty when it comes to feeding time or clipping his claws. But he's come a long way from that lonely wild animal fighting for his life on the streets, and he deserves a life of luxury.
Hi, buddy. It's okay. It's okay.